with my better hands. Caught my first tagged fish. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Max Extreme Fishing Outdoors. Today we're going to talk about shad rigs. You know, I love shad fishing. I've got two videos on how to tie a double jig shad rig, so I'm not going to really show you that today. I'll put a link up here to one of them. But anyway, I'm going to just show you, and this is what 95% of even beginners or even old timers need to use. Just need to use a pink headed 1/8 ounce jig. Got one right there, and start off with chartreuse and white. Now I like these 1.5 to 2 foot apart. Cast them out depending on if the fish are low or high. Let it sink, reel it in slow. Sometimes I like it fast. You need to watch how other people are catching them. But anyway, this is the best rig out there. It's a 2-hook shad rig right there. Like I said, I got a video on that. Now sometimes the bottom one, I will substitute a road runner on the bottom. Now I like the Garland baby glow shads, shad like bright colors. So that you can also put on the bottom. I really like that. This is probably the #1 most popular rig for shad. I like 1/8 ounce pink heads. They like bright colors. If you can't find pink heads, use white. But that's your #1 rig right there for shad fishing. Now let me show you what else you can do with this besides the road runner on the bottom. Alright guys, now the other way to rig this double dropper, you still got the top one. Put a spoon on the bottom. Now spoons come in lots of colors: white, chartreuse, gold, silver, none guessers. You're probably your biggest spoon out there, brand out there. I don't use spoons a lot unless somebody near me is really wearing them out on them. Then I'm gonna be smart enough to switch. They're just expensive. Luckily, I bought probably 100 of these on an end cap at Walmart one year for 75 cents a 2-pack. So I do have a fairly cheap supply of them. But that's your second rig right there. Now, like I said, white and chartreuse on the jigs, 2-inch grubs is what's most common. 1/8 ounce jig heads to use, chartreuse and white, but sometimes I've seen where pink was catching them, where acid rain was catching them. So always have lots of different colors. I've got a shad bag, it's sitting below me. It's like one of those newfangled grocery bags. It's full of colors. Now I've got a video on that. I'll post it at the end or something. So always carry a bunch of colors with you, but 99% of the time, or 95% of the time, chartreuse and white is going to get it done. The next color I say would be pink, and then the next would be go to spoons. But this is your second shad rig. Right here is the jig and spoon combo, and I always put the spoon at the end, trailing behind the jig. Now let's get busy, and we're going to show you the third one. And I'm going to leave it on that. There's a few other shad rigs, but these are 3 most common. So let me show you that one. Alright guys, I'm getting ready to show you my third shad rig and the final one. Love this rig. But like I said, the first one, the 2 jig rigs, the most common. I use that most of the time. Then I'll go to the second one, the jig and the spoon. This is the third one, but I'm going to talk about line real quick. If I know I'm only going to catch hickory shad and just want to have fun, I use 6-pound line. If there's a possibility of hickories and whites or combination, sometimes I'll go to 8-pound line. But if I'm really in a spot where I catch more whites than hickories, they're bigger, they fight harder, 10-pound line. So it just all depends on what river or creek I'm fishing, what species is hitting. But I use 6, 8, or 10-pound line. I do have one rod right now I really love. It's got 10-pound braid on it. I use a mono. I go up and pre-tie the #1 rig, the 2 jig combos with a loop at the end, and I use a little bitty snap. So if I break it off, I can just put another pre-tied rig on. I pre-tie that rig with 14-pound line. I've got them pre-tied around cardboard right there with a loop on the end. But 6, 8, or 10-pound mono is what I like most of the time. All right, here's the third rig. It involves a spoon, a trolling weight. Put the swivel towards the spoon and about 2 feet back. That's a pretty awesome rig, and it casts a pretty far ways too. Love this rig. Like I said, it casts a long ways. This is a 1/2 ounce. Some guys like 3/4 ounce. Sometimes I'll go to 3/4 ounce, but most of the time I prefer the 1/2 ounce. That's plenty much, because think about the first rig that's got the 1/8 ounce jig and the other 1/8 ounce jig. That's a 1/4 ounce. Well, you're at a 1/2 ounce right there plus the spoon. So this is going to cast farther. I think just a 3/4 is kind of overkill. But anyway, either one works. So that's my 3 rigs. Also, the shad bag I showed you, I've got a video on that. Check that out. I'll put that here at the end. Put the subscribe button right here. Let me know what you like to use, because I'll tell you, different colors work best on different days, even different hours. It can change by the hour. I've seen it. But white grub, chartreuse grub is the best to start off with. And then third color, I'd say, is pink when you're talking about plastic curly-tailed grubs. On spoons, silver and gold is probably the most common. Then you've got white, chartreuse. All of them work. But anyway, guys, like I said, hit the subscribe button. It's going to be right here. My shad bag is going to be right here. And I will see you next time. Leave some comments about your colors and your rigs. Thank you.